Welcome to another edition of Brunswick Cable Access News right here on BAT TV. I'm Don Keating. Hey, let's take a look at the headlines we're going to talk about this week. Tricked out Halloween display provided treats. Interesting. City to add recycling to trash pickup services. And Jennifer Clark recognized as excellent teacher. All that coming up next, plus a lot more right here with your Brunswick Cable Access News on BAT TV. As Bill During stands in the driveway of his Spencer Lane residence, he can't help but envision the final piece that would make his humble abode complete: skeletons. But when During says skeletons, he's not just talking your average run-of-the-mill health class variety. Oh no, he's got much grander plans, to the tune of more than a dozen skeletons, actually. I'm picturing 12 to 15 of them climbing the house, hanging from the windows, on top of the roof, just about everywhere, he says, grinning from ear to ear. That's my goal for next year, and I can't wait. Since he moved into his home in 2016, During has been decking the halls bigger and better every year for the holiday, and not the one characteristically defined by red and green. Though he does put up lights and a few decorations each year at Christmas time, it's Halloween he loves, and he wants the entire Brunswick community to know it. This time of the year, the front yard of his home is made into a virtual cemetery, complete with multiple fog machines, goblins, and ghouls galore, not to mention talking witches, inflatable phantoms, and even a larger-than-life dragon guarding the garage, which turns into a black-lit funhouse every October. And that neon-painted dragon's lair is where the neighborhood children and their families can find During, 39, sitting in his patio chair every night in the weeks leading up to Halloween. There, he passes out candy to guests, both young and old, who are invited to make their way to and through his display. Just last week, we had a tour bus of senior citizens from Medina pull up, and they were so excited to visit the area, the married father of two said, noting that the seniors oohed and awed as he explained the display's growing number of attractions. Halloween has always been my thing from the time I was 11 or 12 years old, During said, recalling how he and a childhood friend would decorate the front yard of his parents' home every year. Just like the During house is now nothing to shake a stick at, neither were his first masterpieces. I'd save up all of my leaf raking, snow shoveling money every year and start buying it all piece by piece, he said. One year, my buddy and I pushed a wrecked car down the street and into my parents' yard, and we went and put dummies into it. It was pretty amazing considering we were just kids. From there, During said, it's only gotten bigger and better. Not only his Halloween display, but his passion as well. Unfortunately, we all grow up too fast, but Halloween is one of those times when we can go all out and have a little fun, he said. During wants his house of horrors also to be known as the House with a Heart. In conjunction with his display, he's also hosted a food drive to benefit the Brunswick Food Pantry this year and is hoping to make the act of Halloween benevolence a tradition for years to come. After more than 2 years of deliberations, City Council members voted this week in favor of moving forward with automated trash pickup service in the city that will feature a new curbside recycling component starting in the summer of 2019. By a 4-3 vote, October 22nd, Council's Committee of the Whole granted the administration the green light to begin negotiations for a new residential waste hauling contract, which will ultimately replace the city's existing contract with Republic Services that is set to expire June 30th. Though Council unanimously agreed to move forward with the automating its trash service, members were initially at an impasse regarding the addition of the curbside recycling. The motion to add the service passed by a narrow margin following a third vote on the committee floor. Voting in favor of the motion were Ward 2 Councilman Nicholas Hannick, Ward 1 Councilman Mike Abella Jr., at-large Councilwoman Patricia Hannick, and at-large Councilman Brian Ousley, who changed his vote upon calling for a third roll call to vote in committee in favor of recycling in order to allow the administration to proceed with contract negotiations. Ousley initially voted against adding the recycling component along with Ward 3 Councilman Joseph Salzgeber, Ward 4 Councilman Anthony Capretta, and at-large Councilman Joseph Del Santer, all of whom indicated that their constituents preferred trash pickup in the city remain status quo. I've received numerous phone calls from residents in recent months, and I'd say the vote is pretty much split 50-50, Ousley said, noting that those opposed to the idea of recycling did not want to pay an additional cost for a service they did not plan to use. Del Santer agreed, noting that while he agreed with moving forward with replacing manual trash pickup with fully automated trucks, he believes the recycling bins provided in several locations throughout Medina County allow those who wish to recycle to do so without raising trash pickup costs. Whether it's the city, county, or the school district, we're incrementally dipping into the residents' pockets all the time, and I think we need more time to evaluate recycling to determine whether it's worth the additional cost, he said. Had Ousley not changed his vote, forcing council to delay its vote on which trash hauling option to pursue, however, Service Director Paul Barnett said the city would have been hard-pressed to have a contractor in place with the proper equipment to service the community by the time the city's current contract expires next summer. Law Director Kenneth Fisher agreed delaying the vote could have significant financial repercussions. Not only are we going to be put in an extremely difficult situation with Republic, but we're going to have to go back to the drawing board, Fisher told council. Nicholas Hannick told council he believes recycling is an option many residents, particularly the younger generations, want. Not only does this keep much of the trash from ending up in landfills, but adding a 2-cart program will also help cleaning up our neighborhoods, he said, noting that in accordance with the new system, all the trash will be placed in city-owned trash and recycling bins that will be given to each household. All the details will have to be worked out with council over the next several months, Barnett said, noting that those details will be included as part of the contract negotiation with service providers. Now that the city is making the switch to recycling, Barnett said, the city needs to bid the service by December, which will allow the contractor to order the automated trucks and trash and recycling carts needed for the program. Though the numbers will not be finalized until a contractor is selected, Barnett said city residents can expect an increase in the cost of service simply due to the fact that the city's trash contract hasn't been rebid in more than 8 years. Potential stormwater issues and how the construction of a proposed senior living complex would affect the surrounding neighborhood were forefront in the minds of the city's planning commission this week as they collaborated with an independent consultant hired to review the developer's plans for the property located just east of the city's water towers near the St. Ambrose Church. The Sanctus project calls for the construction of a single-story, 24,274 square foot memory care facility with 32 units, as well as a 2-story, 68,180 square foot assisted living facility with 80 units and a 36-unit independent living facility on 16.35 acres. The project was first submitted to the commission in June and reviewed again in September, at which time members requested an independent consultant review the project to weigh the pros and cons of letting the developer build the complex. Because the land on which Sanctus would be located is compromised, containing hills and other potential drainage issues, the developer has requested to build it as a special planning district, which not only requires approval of the Planning Commission, but City Council as well. To make sure there is not only a need for such a facility in Brunswick, given the recent construction of several new senior housing facilities, and to make sure to establish the appropriate design guidelines for the proposed complex, the Commission has retained the assistance of consultant Doug Harsney, president of the Harsney & Associates located in Westerville. Not only did Harsney review the proposed plans for the complex in terms of accessibility, lighting, exterior renovations, landscaping, and more. But he also evaluated the facility in terms of how its construction could impact traffic at its Pearl Road entrance and exit. Harsanyi told the commission he didn't expect the complex to have a significant effect on the traffic initially, but said that as the thoroughfare evolves over time and property located to the immediate west is developed, that the issues could arise. But for the time being, Harsanyi said, the most significant impact the project could have on the community has to do with the stormwater management. There are definite challenges with the site, he said, and it is important for the development to be done right, because the city already has what Harsanyi called strict stormwater regulations in place. He said that if the developer builds the complex right, the project could make the property better than when you started. Kudos to the community for having good regulations in place, he said. You know, some cleanup is needed, but if you do it with sensitivity in those areas, this should be an improvement to the site when all is said and done. Harsanyi said if the commission and council elect to approve the special planning district, the commission should be diligent in making sure the final product takes into consideration the surrounding homes in order to ensure that when the project is completed, stormwater issues and flooding affect the surrounding areas less than they do today. Community and Economic Development Director Grant Ungst agreed. This will have to be a controlled flow, and if correctly, this could clear up the stormwater issues that we have now, he said. Planning Commission Chairman Joseph Cirilla said the Planning Commission found Harsanyi's report to be very helpful. It's good to see that we are going in the right direction with this, he said. We are looking forward to seeing what your recommendations are as far as the design guidelines are concerned. Following Harsanyi's report to the commission, the developer of the project will have the opportunity to move forward with the project or remove the project from consideration. Despite recent pleas from residents on social media, city officials say they will not be making a return to Brunswick Lake next month for this year's annual holiday celebration. While residents say that making a return to the Brunswick Lake would make the celebration feel more akin to tree lighting and other celebrations hosted by surrounding communities, including Strongsville and Medina, both city and county officials say that Brunswick Lake is off limits for at least 2018. Because the city has turned over maintenance and control of all other operations at Brunswick Lake Park to the Medina County Park District effective this year, Parks and Recreation Director John Pepsney said hosting special events at the park, including the Holiday Spectacular, comes at the discretion of the Park District. Pepsney said that in the conversations with Medina County Park District Director Nate Epnick, the Park District has indicated keeping the rules and regulations uniform across all county parks is paramount. Allowing Brunswick to host a holiday event at the park means that the Park District would have to honor similar requests made by the public at other county parks. The news comes as a disappointment to several local residents who took to the Facebook page You Know You're From Brunswick If this past week, including Julie Neal, who was looking to host a tree lighting ceremony at the Brunswick Lake to kick off holiday festivities. Neal, who owns the Sugar Hive Baking Company at Mapleside Farm, said it was her intent for the bakery to sponsor an official tree lighting with an open invitation to other local businesses willing to participate. We did some brainstorming and spoke to a few others in the community about how to make this happen and make it a great little event for our great town that we are proud to call home to our businesses, Neal said, adding she made calls and sent emails to local officials to put the plan in motion. As much as she disagrees with the reasoning the city and the county have for rejecting the plan that would have been funded through private donations, Neal said she has to respect the decision. Similar to the 2017 event, Pepsney said the city plans to host its annual holiday spectacular at the Brunswick Community Recreation and Fitness Center. Though the date and time has yet to be announced, the event is expected to feature similar activities and attractions as in past years, including games, crafts, refreshments, visits with Santa Claus, and more. Though the city hosted the event for 3 consecutive years at Brunswick Lake and the Susan L. Hambly Nature Center, Pepsney said the city was forced to make a return to the party's original location last year, primarily due to logistics. We were spending so much time out there trying to set it all up ourselves, and we just weren't able to do that anymore, Pepsney said. When Light Up the Lake was initially envisioned back in 2014, Pepsney said the city asked the local business community to participate by donating displays to the city or setting up their own displays around Brunswick Lake. Though several businesses participated, as did several volunteer groups, Pepsney said the trail along the lake is a mile long, which meant the bulk of the decorating was left to the city. It was just a huge undertaking and our limited staff just couldn't do it all, Pepsney said, noting that the light displays and decorations for the one-day, 2-hour event had to be set up and removed within a week's time. Hosting the party at the Recreation Center not only allows for better planning, but it also provides a warm location for local residents to gather. KFC will soon have a second home on Center Road after the city's Planning Commission approved detailed site plans for the project last week. As part of the October 18th hearing, the commission granted a variance request to the owner of the existing Pearl Road KFC with regard to the proposed location of the dumpster site for the restaurant. The dumpster site, city officials said, is expected to be located at the southwest corner of the site, resulting in the dumpster being located less than 41 feet from the south property line. Under the city's code, the dumpster would need to be located outside the required 50-foot rear yard setback. With the commissioner's approval, the final decision is left in the hands of City Council, who will be asked to approve the variance for the site at its November 12th meeting. If Council approves the variance, a second KFC restaurant will replace the existing Sonic restaurant, which opened in 2010 and 2019. The owner of the existing Pearl Road location said he plans to maintain the Pearl Road store as well. Like the Pearl Road location, the proposed Center Road location will feature in-store seating and exterior seating that will be located on the new building's patio. The existing canopy covers, car hop menu, and speakers will be eliminated, Macri said, and a portion of the existing concrete pavement near the east property line will be removed and planted as green space. 30 parking spaces will be created with an ADA ramp that will connect to the restaurant's outside patio area. Nexus Gas Transmission has begun moving natural gas through its newly built pipeline despite years of opposition from area property holders. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission announced October 10th that it granted Nexus's request to start using part of the 36-inch diameter pipeline that runs about 255 miles from gas wells in eastern Ohio to southern Michigan. Close followers of the pipeline progress said the section of pipeline pressurized extended to the so-called Wadsworth Compressor Station on Guilford Road, which began testing equipment installed there in early October. Nexus spokesman Adam Parker said the company began making commercial deliveries on October 13th. Plans to build the $2.1 billion pipeline were first made public in 2012 and by 2013 had given rise to a series of grassroots protest groups in Medina County and other places along the pipeline's route. Opponents in Medina County split into 2 separate organizations, Sustainable Medina County and the Coalition to Reroute Nexus. Sustainable Medina County launched a series of efforts to create a new county charter that supporters hoped would empower local elected leaders to mount opposition to the pipeline's construction. Korn took another approach and mounted a campaign to have the route of the pipeline shifted south away from more populated areas in Medina County and the city of Greene in Summit County. Paul Gierowski, a leader in Korn, expressed disappointment that a series of legal challenges filed by his organization have not stopped the Nexus pipeline, but said Korn has not gone away and is still pursuing legal challenges. Gierowski added Korn attorneys have consolidated separate lawsuits by the cities of Greene and Oberlin and filed them with the Federal Appeals Court in Washington, D.C. He said the gist of those cases is that FERC approval of the pipeline violated provisions in the Natural Gas Act by incorrectly giving Nexus the right to use eminent domain for a project that plans to export the gas transmitted. Detroit-based DTE Energy and Enbridge, a Canadian company, are partners in the $2.1 billion pipeline. For more than 4 years, we have worked with the landowners, key stakeholders, and state and federal agencies to develop a balanced approach to designing, constructing, and operating the pipeline. Parker wrote in an email, he said, cleanup and restoration activities are well underway in Ohio, and landowners with questions regarding restoration activities are encouraged to call the company's construction hotline at 844-589-3655. Jennifer Clark has been one of the teachers of the Huntington Excel program for the past 8 years. The Huntington Excel program is the Brunswick City School District's program for gifted elementary students in 3rd through 5th grades. I have always loved school and I love talking to a class, said Clark. Clark received her teaching degree and is working on her master's as well at the University of Akron and the University of Cincinnati. Clark agrees that teaching the Excel program is really fun because everything is unique and you are always moving. Clark helps kids learn by using hands-on activities and mini projects. Clark explained that working with kids is not very easy, but it is very fun. It is awesome that Brunswick has a special program for gifted students because not every city has it, Clark explained. The great thing about a gifted class is that the kids are challenged when they learn. We have been soaked by rain for quite some time and cooler than normal temperatures. The question remains, will we see a break in the temperatures, any sunshine, and warmer than normal temperatures? All of that coming up next. Hey, welcome back. Boy, it was a beginning of October that was pretty nice. Then the end of October was cool. Now we're in November and it's wet, right? We have a wide variety of weather here in the area, that's for sure. Sunshine, it's going to be a thing of the past here before long. And don't forget, I hope you got your clocks changed. It's setting a lot earlier now. Let's take a look at our climatological information here for Brunswick and Medina County. Average highs and lows the 9th to the 15th of November. Average high 52 starting out for the week and dropping down to 50 degrees. And your average low starting out at 35 degrees, dropping down to that 33 degree mark just above your freezing threshold. Precipitation overall, this is melted content, 0.75 inches for the week. And snowfall, that's right, 0.3 of an inch. And that's because we're in November. We get further into November and December, Mother Nature has all those wicked tricks remaining for us, right? So 0.3 of an inch of snow in 1 week, child's play. Let's take a look at the Climate Prediction Center forecast for the next 7 days. As far as temperature is concerned, up here, New England, good chance of above normal temperatures. And from the Great Lakes down into the western Appalachians and Alleghenies down toward the Gulf Coast states, a good chance of above normal, but 33% in this lighter orange shade. And then the Central Plains states, you have normal outlook. And then the Rockies, way out to the west coast, again, a good chance of above normal temperatures. Now your precipitation outlook looks like this. Big old bullseye across the Ohio Valley. 50% chance or greater of above normal precipitation. And the Pacific Northwest, well, unfortunately, they've been dry for most of the year. They're going to continue to be dry, and we're going to look at a good chance of below normal precipitation in that area. No matter what happens, I hope you enjoy the week weather-wise. We're going to come back with some bulletin board events. You won't want to miss that right after this. And welcome back. Let's take a look at those bulletin board activities, shall we? A quick note, though, that due to staff training, all Medina County libraries will be closed on Friday, the 16th of November. The Nature Through the Seasons series continues with a walk in Brunswick's own Plum Creek Park South on Wednesday, November 14th from 10 until 11 a.m. This series consists of easy walks that explore our different parks while observing the unfolding of nature throughout the seasons. These hikes also count toward the Natural Discoveries program, an award-based hiking series. Visit the Park District website for details about the program, and it's best suited for ages 7 to adult. No registration is required and is free. And as a little postscript, if you've gotten any good photos of the autumnal leaves changing color, send them to our email address. We'd be happy to feature those with credit to you, the photographer. The 34th Annual Medina Candlelight Walk is November 16th through the 18th. Join Main Street Medina in celebrating the 34th year of Medina's Candlelight Walk, Northeast Ohio's kickoff to the holiday season. Over 30,000 visitors are expected to descend on the historic district across those 3 days. The celebration features the following: over 2 miles of LED lights highlighting the traditional Victorian Square and buildings, over 1,500 luminaries, lighting of a 10-foot tall community Christmas tree in the gazebo, iconic traditional parade of lights through the heart of town, the arrival of Santa and Mrs. Claus. You can't miss that, right? Entertainment, shopping, and more. This event is free of charge, but some attractions do have a fee. For more information on this, visit the website, which is listed below. That's about all the time we have for this week for Brunswick Cable Access News right here on BAT TV. I thank you once again for joining me. Have a great week, and until the next time, I'm Don Keating.
The preceding program was made possible through the use of equipment and facilities of Brunswick Area Television.